Shashakam Patirikam Pakanta Itagravanamudam Dikshali Virananda Kunde Prabhushani Majanta Madhyapayan Hadiye Shikha Deshu Bhaktan Jitatam Una Prematasam Sattaveti Param Deva Moksham Namokshavadimba Nachanyam Viniham Vaishadati Hiram Deva Purnatam Gopala Balam Saram Monashabhirastam Tinam Yantem Sambo Jamatyantanilai Vidam Kundalai Sudharaktai Chumbitam Bimbarantarami Subirasam Alamvakam Murayanta Vishnu Rashira Prabhu Kajalam Vipamishti Vishyati Dinam Vatam Vihanitamamadhyam Vejati Sundaratmajo Bhagam Chaiva Jada Vayamukhito Bhakti Bhajo Kejo Tatha Prema Bhakti Swakame Priyacha Namokhe Graho Miti Damodare Namaste Sutame Puraniti Jane Paryodaraya Tudishaya Namo Radhikaya Kariya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
I hope you all liked it. How was it? How was the song for you? Anybody?
It's beautiful, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's a very
It's very
beautiful,
sweet.
a very sweet song, and it has a very wonderful meaning also. Uh, I will share this link, song link, as well as the video link at your at your home. You can all recite. So because of this Karthik special month, the temple actually decided to send every one of you, especially those who are taking active interest and participating in classes like all of you. They want to send a Damodara gift pack which contains a Bhagavad Gita and how you actually perform um, this particular kirtan at your home by offering the lamp and all of that, right? So the procedure, everything is given in that kit. I hope that will be a great gift. It is to encourage all of you to actively, seriously take to spiritual life. Okay. Uh, I will. If you are in Seattle, if you are in the local area, the temple recommends you to visit the temple at a specific time and actually collect it from the temple, have darshan of the Lord and collect the gift. And if you stay outside in another state, we will send you to your address. So you need to send us the address to which to be sent. Okay. So that's the plan. So with that said, we'll start today's class. So we completed up to verse 61. If you remember, this is the last section of second chapter where Arjuna asks, who is a Sthita Prajna? How does he sit? How does he walk? What are his characteristics, basically? So last week we discussed three verses where Krishna describes how senses are very difficult to overcome and what are the steps. What is Sthita Prajna? How does a Sthita Prajna deal with them? Huh? Those are the. So let me just quickly read. Yeah, from here, 57. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. A person who is in perfect knowledge understands that he is a soul, he is not this body. And the goal is to not achieve material success in this world. Of course, material success comes, that is good, but that is not the goal. Okay, so he is not very much affected by the good things that happen in life and the bad things that happen in life. He's um, samadrishti means he is composed in every situation. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Our attraction to sense objects is the cause of our fall down. This theme is going to continue in the next verses also, in today's verses also. So this is the key point Krishna is driving home. You should be able to control your senses. Just like a tortoise is a very small animal, but it cannot be harmed if it keeps its bodily limbs inside the shell. Not even a tiger can kill it. Nothing can, the shell is so strong, nothing can affect the tortoise as long as it tries to withdraw the senses. So similarly, if a jiva controls his senses very well, so sense control is so important to lead a very meaningful, purposeful, happy life. If senses are uncontrolled, we may have to go through a lot of hurdles in life. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in Krishna consciousness. So the senses are going to always drag. It's impossible to completely restrict it. But how can one restrict it? By developing higher spiritual taste. By practicing spiritual life, one's lower taste will go away. Lower taste means the kind of desires you may have right now, which are all sensual, would all vanish automatically when we develop higher taste. Higher taste. What is a higher taste? Spiritual taste. Means, for example, all of you are sincerely hearing every week without miss. All the 12 of you, I remember, right? 12 of you are always fixed. So that is a spiritual taste. Okay. So like that, when we increase the spirituality in our life, and all of you can go back and at your home you chant, few rounds, slowly increase your God consciousness or Krishna consciousness, slowly make everything, your work, your family life, raising kids, everything can be made in a God conscious, in a spiritual way. So when that happens, right, when your higher taste develops, naturally you would lose lower taste. Then you don't complain on people, you don't talk bad about people. So many negative things we all do in life, isn't it? So those things are all because our taste for sense enjoyment, because we want to be the enjoyer in all the situations. We in a the materialistic way of life is, nobody is happier if somebody else is better than them in something or the other, in anything, for example. That is the nature of the material world and the nature of material life. Material life means seeing everything with the view of my own profit. Okay. So when we are so self-centered, we cannot be spiritual. Of course, right now, all of us may have that. And the way to get rid of that is uh, is not more indulgence in material life, is actually developing, leading a regulated spiritual life, like regularly doing some spiritual activity every day, doing some worship of the Lord, doing some uh, yoga, meditation, right? Holy name meditation. We did few minutes back, meditation on the holy name, or offering worship of the worship to the Lord. So these are all very spiritual activities. As we develop more to uh, keep ourselves engaged in spiritual activities, we actually restrict ourselves. The taste for sense enjoyment decreases. Means we don't crave for that anymore. Yeah. The senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. So Krishna is warning Arjuna that senses are not easy to control. Don't think you can control by your own efforts. It's not, we right in the corporate circles and all. There are people, people attend all kinds of courses on personality development and all, right? But actually, all those personality development courses deal at the level of mind. And because mind is so uncontrolled, when you hear these classes nicely, you get some nice points, but actually you can't really practice them, because you need to address the core, the root. If you start practicing spiritual life, that gives a real solution to your personality development. Your personality would be, you know, so well developed. by practicing spiritual life. Your thoughts, your actions, everything will be pure with pure intention. Okay. Of course, you may think, oh, world is so bad, people are so bad. If we are so good, will that be fine? Perfectly fine, actually. When you have that faith in spirituality, in God, God will take care of that. So do not budge from being good, right? Um, so Krishna is warning here. So the only way to control the senses is to take to spiritual life and regulate, practice regulations. We'll learn that in the next verses. One who restrains his senses forcefully, right? Keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me. He is known as a man of steady intelligence. So Krishna is talking about um, a jiva who is able to control his senses, means he's restraining from sense gratification, and on the simultaneously is also fixing his consciousness upon me, meaning he's conscious of God in all moments of life, right? Me means Krishna. So when he fixes his consciousness on God all the time, he is known a man of steady intelligence. His intelligence is fixed. It works perfectly. When you say steady intelligence, what does it mean? He has the right discrimination. What is the purpose of intelligence? It tells what is right, what is wrong. At any moment of life, life is a journey of decisions, right? Which way to go, this way or that way? So many decisions do we make in everyday life, right? So we need steady intelligence. How does that come? You need two things. One is control over your senses, means senses always would drag everywhere, right? If you have good control on senses, may not be right now. I also don't have full control on my senses, but to the as we practice, slowly it develops. Okay, restrain your senses and fix your consciousness upon me, and fix your consciousness, your mind on God. When you do that, your what happens? The result, steady intelligence. All your decisions will be rightly guided, because when you do these two things, what happens? Paramatma is in our heart. What does he do? He actually gives us this steady intelligence. There is no when you have sense control and your consciousness is always seeking and fixed upon God, then you establish a connection with God within your heart. Then right intelligence, right guidance comes from within. So that's how it works. Now this purport discusses about King Ambarisha. We discussed the story of King Ambarisha and Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni is a great yogi, and King Ambarisha is a great devotee who used all his senses in the service of Krishna. And even though Durvasa Muni was a great yogi, he actually becomes angry at Ambarisha and tries to curse him. But it backfires, and you know, Lord Sudarshan Chakra runs behind him to kill Durvasa Muni. He goes to various planetary systems. Ultimately, he goes to Vaikunta. Even Narayana says, I cannot protect you from my devotee's curse. If you want to be protected, go to him and seek forgiveness. And when Durvasa Muni comes back, seeks forgiveness from Ambarisha Muni, King Ambarisha, he actually has no anger at all. He says, don't even fall, you are a great soul. I have no anger at all on you. And then immediately the Sudarshan Chakra goes back. So you can read more about this in this purport. So we'll read from today's verse. So this is a very powerful, you know, two verses are very powerful. It actually gives many practical lessons. So let's study this. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteju sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate. Okay, I would like one of you to read actually. Who will read? Prabhuji, Nitin Prabhu, can you read? Translation?
Yes, Prabhu. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises.
So now Krishna gives exactly the mechanics of how the mind works, how exactly mind gets distracted from the objectives, right? We all have certain goals, but do we directly achieve them? We don't. Actually, mind, when you set a goal, when you are on the journey to achieve something, there are so many distractions, and in the process, how the mind gets distracted is being explained here. This verse and the next verse are very connected. We'll first go through the translations and then come back and read again. Krodha bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhrama smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. So it starts with dhyayato and ends with pranashyati. Pranashyati means the guy falls down actually. Now read again. Prabhu, can you read?
Yeah. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
So let's read the transition from various, the different stages. So the problem begins with contemplation on the objects of senses. Okay, what are the objects of senses? Like it could be a home, or a beautiful car, or a beautiful girl. Anything you could say. First, the problem begins with you see some object. If you stop there, no problem. But you don't stop there after seeing the object and contemplate on the object in your mind. Okay. Now you start thinking about that object and how you can enjoy that object. Okay. Now that when you do that, what happens? Basically, a person is developing attachment. So your mind is associating with that object, thinking continuously of enjoying that object. Okay. Now attachment means strong desire to have that object. Okay. Now that's what develops. When you contemplate, you develop attachment. And from such attachment, lust develops. Lust means now no matter what, I need to get that. That's what happens. Okay. Lust means strong impulse to achieve something. Okay. From now he went on from contemplation to attachment to lust. And from lust, anger arises. Now somebody advises, my friend, that is not good for you. What happens? You really, for example, somebody, let's say he saw some, wonderful car, and he really wanted to get it. He doesn't have that much money. And now every day he's dreaming about it and, drawing some pictures, looking at, not drawing, looking online about various models, various colors, and going on virtual tours on the car. He's doing all these things. Now what happens? He develops lust. He wants to get it at any cost. Now he comes back home, he talks to his wife. Wife says, is it really important? What happens then? Is it important for us to get this car? He immediately gets angry. You don't understand how nice that car is. He can say so many things, right? Because he is lusty after the car. He wants to get the car at any cost. Doesn't matter through financing or whether he can afford the monthly EMIs. Doesn't matter. He developed a strong lust for achieving it. And anybody who advises against that is his enemy. He doesn't. He's so angry, right? Isn't it?
Yes, I have experienced that many times.
Yeah, all of us have gone through it for various reasons. You don't need to express all of that, but it's a natural process, right? We all have developed lust towards many things, and when somebody advises against us, even in our good interest, we don't listen to it. We, in fact, become angry. Then what happens? Once you become angry, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. From anger comes delusion. Delusion means you start thinking, this guy is not my well-wisher. He doesn't know anything. I actually deserve the car. Delusion means it's not reality. It's an imaginary reality. You are in a alter world, thinking in your mind about uh, things that are not real. Completely useless thinking, delusionary thinking. It all comes from anger. When you are going through emotion of anger, what your mind gives in terms of ideas. When you are anger, that is not a time to decide on important stuff. At least, or it's very important to stop talking at the time, because any talk you make is a stupid talk. It's going to backfire on you one day or the other. Okay, you're going to break relationships. You're going to um, if it is with your boss, that is a very bad situation to be in. Okay, if you're angry and you're speaking something, better stop it, because your thinking is delusionary at the time. You cannot express yourself, no way. So these are all checks Bhagavad Gita is giving us. So from anger comes a delusion, and it doesn't stop there. There is still further degradation. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. You now delusioned. All your good memories means memory means your past experiences. Generally, past experience is a teacher, isn't it? It's supposed to teach you a lesson on how to be in the current situation, right? You don't touch fire because you have a past experience of its heat. You know it's not good for you, right? But when your mind is delusioned, your memory is lost. Meaning, you speak foolishly, illogically. You what you say or speak or do is all mistakes completely. You better keep quiet and stay calm. That is the thing you should do at the time until your emotions settle down. From delusion arises bewilderment of memory. The mind is completely blocked. People say that mind is blocked. That is because of this. Because mind is delusioned at the time. And when memory is bewildered, basically decision making is broken. You cannot. Intelligence is the decision making faculty. So it is in problem state. Okay, you cannot decide anything right or wrong. You better seek somebody's advice or stay quiet for some time. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into material pool. He will commit mistakes, and the actions that he does are all going to bind him in bad karma, because his intelligence is lost. He's doing things which are meaningless. All of us would have done, one time or the other. It's in the material world, in the leading material life, these situations come again and again. So Bhagavad Gita is teaching how the systematic fall down happens for the jiva. So when you act out of intelligence, when you act without proper intelligence, you would bind yourself with bad karma in this material world. Okay, so that is one way to stay back in this material world, which we don't want to. So now the whole sequence is understood, right? So it starts with, so the good thing is you should be able to stop at any stage. The earlier, the better, isn't it? Suppose you stopped at the minute you know you saw, this is the reason Costco keeps the best things in the front. Okay, the best televisions, and the newest things that people are irresistibly attracted. Those are the things that they keep. They know the psychology of people. They also know, I mean, they know exact the Bhagavad Gita slokas that we are reading, right? They want to trap you, they want to bait you. Not only Costco, I mean, it's just one instance. The whole world is like that. In many ways, we should be careful. We are the ones to act with proper intelligence to safeguard our life, isn't it? So the best the best time to stop this whole situation is stop contemplating an object of senses. When you do this, there is no development of attachment, no development of lust, no development of anger. All this, no lust, no anger, no attachment, none of this happen, isn't it? So this is the best spot to stop it. If not, you might have gone through all this already. Okay, at least stop at somewhere, somewhere before you get you develop deep. No matter what, I need to get this kind of a lusty desire, right? At least stop at that stage. If you don't stop, that this verse is very bad state. This verse talks about very bad degradation. From anger comes delusion. Delusion takes away your memory. Memory is lost. Intelligence is lost. You can't make decisions, and then you do all actions which are foolish, ultimately detrimental to you. Okay. So this is exactly what happens with every one of us. So we should be very careful. If we are not careful, senses would keep dragging. So everything begins with attraction to the sense objects that glitter before our eyes or ears, whatever. So we should be very carefully safeguard and not develop attachment to the worldly things of this world. You may ask, does it mean that do I not develop any even spiritual life also? Do we not develop? Do we never contemplate anything? No, it doesn't work like that. For example, if you are contemplating on how you can do meditation better, that is positive contemplation. How I can control mind, what are the things I need to practice in my life to have better control on mind. That is positive contemplation. These are contemplation. We all know what are the things which are not very good in the long term, right? Enjoying for your gratification. That is the thing that this particular verse is talking about. For your own sense enjoyment, not your soul enjoyment. Soul enjoyment is spiritual enjoyment. That is perfectly all right. Now we are talking about sense gratification. That is the thing. And we should avoid primarily at the contemplating stage. This is the best stage to stop it. Then you can avoid all this cycle. This is a degradation cycle. If you can avoid it, the best. Any questions on this? Anybody, please ask.
So, Prabhu, from practical implementation perspective, though I kind of understand a lot of things, but I still want to also ask for everybody as well as myself for more clarification. Uh, when we focus on the higher taste as well as more like detachment from the lust and attachment, like for example, I'm doing a job.
Mm,
Oh, I want to have car. I may go for like a very second-hand car, or I may go for a electric car.
mm,
Sometimes I feel, oh, electric car will help me save my time not to put the gas,
mm,
not to go for servicing, and that will help me take out more time. So one can always find a reason
mm,
out of even expensive cars how it can help me in Krishna consciousness or my sadhana.
mm,
That's one thing. Job also,
mm,
if I'm going for a big company versus small companies,
mm,
oh, big companies may give me more salaries, then I can donate more. One can always come to that conclusion. And then even like clothing, Prabhu. Oh, if I have really nice clothes, maybe I can wear it to temple. And then, so uh, the attachment, though we may have it, but we want to cultivate to Krishna consciousness. But sometimes it just feels like these are still our lust, not. I don't know how much it will be benefit to Krishna consciousness. So,
mm.
what is your
Yes.
guidance on this?
Okay. Uh, so we understand the goal, right? Ultimately, we should reduce, gradually reduce our own. The goal should not be our own enjoyment. That is the primary goal, right? Now, we may not be immediately doing everything perfectly, you know. So gradually reduce that. I have seen some devotees who initially had, you know, big mansions, you know, 6 bedroom homes and all. They were just, for the sake of it, they were buying it. But later on, they thought, this whole thing is taking more time to clean it up and, maintain it, pay the taxes and all. Then later on, they felt, the simpler the better, and they came down to 3 bedroom homes, reduced, simplified life, right? So that should naturally happen as we start progressing spiritually, right? So it doesn't. We should not any do. Okay, I heard this class, and so I'm going to reduce my, living standards tomorrow onwards. No, we have to gradually do it. And so, like you said, yeah. So if suppose, uh, I'm talking about job, right? You said, should I even desire to go for a high-paying job? Yeah. So if you are able to, if you know your abilities, right, and you think you can comfortably do that job and not affect your Krishna consciousness or your spiritual path, it like certain jobs require you to maybe travel too much, or eat in hotels, or uh, just like we consider, oh, this is not good for my body. um, Too much travel is not good for my body. I will not get regulated food or sleep. uh, just like we consider about our body, we should also consider about our spiritual well-being, right? So then yes, for my spiritual life also this is not good. So let me um, let me see if I can settle down in one city and do my job from that place. If it doesn't work out, yeah, what can we do, right? Your skill set in this life is like that you have to travel, right? Do it, but as much as possible, stable. The whole goal is your material life should not give you too much distraction. You need to have certain stability in life, like a fixed hours in job, and having a ability to have time for family, time for reading Bhagavad Gita, time for doing some meditation, time for remembering God. If you have all these things, you know, then your life is good. Actually, what can we ask more in this life, right? Material life, you are already in a jail kind of a situation, right? So if you have that, it doesn't matter. You may get a little more by going to a job that gives you more. That's okay, as long as your baseline is satisfied, it's okay. You have to balance it. But say you go to a job that offers you $1 million, but your life is going to be in big trouble because you need to make sure your VPs are happy all the time, and you have too much anxiety about various deliverables. That just like that can affect your health, it can affect your physical health. It can also affect your spiritual health. So you need to know your abilities. As you improve your abilities, you can aspire for better job while keeping uh, while keeping your spiritual life in balance, right? That is all right. you know uh, Krishna doesn't say you don't use your abilities to the full potential. Okay, Arjuna, he is the best warrior in the world. And how does he become like that? He was practicing day and night. Nobody can compare in his seriousness. Okay, so it's not wrong to um, desire certain skill set or certain job as such, but you should be guarded against things that would distract you and give you anxiety, or take away your personal family life or spiritual life. You should be careful about that. So that requires some kind of guidance. We may not be able to decide what is what is really good for us sometimes, right? So if you talk to another friend, a devotee, a well-wisher, right? If he sees, okay, based on your inputs, if he sees, uh, you know, this may not be good, then if you want to hear that, yeah, you should hear that, and that's why satsang is always important. Talking to like-minded people who are our well-wishers, right? Talking to them in confidentiality, that gives us some kind of clarity of mind, some kind of intelligence before jumping on to anything important, right? You consult someone who has a better wisdom, better understanding. Uh, so that would help us. Okay. So
Yeah,
generally, my advice is, I generally, whenever I'm making a job jump, or I generally consult my mentors. Some devotees consult me. It's like that. I mean, anybody who you are close to and you think can advise you on that, you can consult multiple peoples also to just get an understanding and opinion, right?
yes, bro.
That's how I do.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Thank you, bro.
Anything else? Anybody? Okay. So you can read this. This is a beautiful purport. Both.
Yes, Prabhu, I have one quick question, if you don't mind.
Yes, Prabhu. Ganesh Prabhu?
No, this is Dinesh.
Oh, Dinesh Prabhu. Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
So, the example, or rather the meaning that we read, it was the one way I understood that was in a matter of extremes, where you develop attachment to something, and if you don't get it, it leads to anger, and then you lose your um, um, senses as a result of that, which perfectly makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you still desire sense objects, but you are able to keep your anger in check, and you don't take yourself to the extreme in trying to get that. Many a times you're also in the middle state where even if you don't get it, you kind of move on, but the desire to keep trying is always there. Is
Yeah,
that considered equally bad, which I think is more of a situation many a times than as compared to just getting angry over something?
that's very good point. Yes. So many times, okay, we know we can't get it, so we just live with that. But mind keeps on going after that, right? So once you know you can't get it and it's not good for you, better avoid it. It's a waste of energy, right? You are contemplating something that you ultimately is not really good for you, and and you can't get it. then it is just, mind is like a monkey, right? It always gives a lot of negative thoughts, or unwanted thoughts, or promises, right? Promises that are um, that if you do this you can enjoy like this. So many promises it makes, but actually we should understand that mind's nature is like that. And if we start practicing to stop at the contemplation state, you have so much more energy with you to do positive things in life. I remember I was once hearing, uh, have you heard about Chinnajiyar Swami? Anybody? He's
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, he's very famous in Andhra Pradesh. He's from Sri Sampradaya. We are from Brahma Madhu Sampradaya. But ultimately, he is also teaches worship of Lord Narayana. So in an interview, he was asked, how do you move around all over the world? How do how do you not get distracted by so many things in this world? He said this exact thing. I don't spend a minute on thinking about things that are, not good for me, not good for the world. I won't waste a second in contemplating on things that are wasteful thoughts. That's how I preserve my energy and use it for good. I remember that now. So if you can start, from today also you can start practicing this, right? So as soon as you are getting thoughts which are not, you can easily identify, right? As soon as you get a thought that is you think is not productive for you, um, you know not ultimately in the long term good interest of you, stop thinking. It could be about a friend, not friend, a person uh, who you don't like. You started thinking about him, stop it right away. It doesn't help you, right? Or many things like that, right? uh, Stop at contemplation stage and see it it can save your time, right? You can stop at a later stage. You've gone through this contemplation, and developed attachment, and then lust. Lust is like a fire burning in you. Why have such a fire, right? Unnecessary. It's not good for you. It can, anytime you are in a danger zone, right? Anytime it can break into anger. You are at the edge. So it is very risky situation. Why not stop at the early stages? This is a very practical lesson. So I request all of you to actually to meditate, think about this particular verse in your day-to-day life, right? And see how you're able to preserve energy by not contemplating on unnecessary things in life. It frees up so much time for you. Okay, and you can use that for productive use.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think that's really good advice about stopping it at the contemplation stage. Even though I have read this shlok before, this thought never occurred to me. I actually skipped past that practical advice part of it actually.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of our discussions. We want to apply these verses to our life, right? So even if I miss something, you can always ask how we can apply. Especially some of these are. This is a Krishna analyzes very nicely exactly what goes on in the mind. These are jewels. These certain verses are jewels. They give a lot of practical advice on how we can improve our own life. Hmm? When negative thoughts are stopped at the early stage, your day would be so good. Forget about anything else. Uh, so the example is given of, for example, you're riding on a horse. Okay, you're riding on a horse, and the chariot has, or the yeah, the chariot has multiple horses. The horse is running fast, fast, fast on the road. Suddenly, the horse saw some very nice green grass. You have a certain destination to go. Now this horse saw this beautiful grass and it is very hungry. Now instead of driving ahead, the horse immediately turns around towards the grass. The person in the chariot immediately understands the situation. He can do, either of the things. He can immediately, hit the horse and make it in the proper, get it on the straight road, or he can let the horse go and eat the grass, right? And he may lose his time and energy, and he may, if the horse goes to the grass. But he is able to check at the time. The moment he sees the directional change, he would save so much of his time, isn't it? So that's the advice. Basically, actually, that example is here. So Bhagavad Gita book has this particular plate picture. So in this picture, right, the senses are represented by horses. What do the senses do? Senses, each of the sense has certain things that they like. Eyes like beautiful things. Nose likes the most fragrant, nice smells. Ears like nice music, right? So like that, anus and genitals, every tongue and skin. So each of these have certain things that they like and they don't like, and they would get, your tongue might just get attracted to a sweet, even though it is not good, right? So this horse would just run away in one direction. Anytime any one of these horses is let loose, the the passenger gets bewildered. You see here, there is a chariot driver. So all the senses give inputs to what? Anybody? Sense.
Mind.
The mind.
Mind is the coordinating sense. It is also a sense. It takes inputs from here, and it makes new conclusions based on the inputs it receives, right? Hey, I saw a gulab jamun, and it immediately thinks about past experience of eating gulab jamun, and its mouth starts watering, isn't it? So that happens because mind takes inputs from the senses and does the processing. The ropes are the mind, okay? They are, and intelligence is the deciding faculty. Intelligence decides what to do next, okay? So once the mind coordinates the messages that coming across the senses, the intelligence is given the inputs, and intelligence ultimately decides next course of action. If intelligence is weak, if our intelligence is weak, our discrimination is weak. Our discrimination means our understanding of what is right, what is wrong. We don't have clarity. So we often take wrong decisions because of our lust for various senses, various sense objects that are connected to various senses. Our judgment is colored, or our judgment is disfigured. Our judgment is basically prejudiced because we are already under the control of senses. So that's why studying Gita, this gives us very good intelligence. You don't need to worry about, or do I, how does that work? Just by reading Gita every day, your intelligence becomes strong. So when intelligence is strong, it is able to very firmly have hold on the mind. When you have hold on the mind will perfectly control the senses. So the control should be always the soul has a perfect control on the intelligence. The intelligence has a perfect control on the mind. The mind has a perfect control on the senses. But in this material world, the things work exactly opposite. Senses drag everywhere. Mind is bewildered. Mind gives wrong inputs to, intelligence is totally out of place. So if, some one of these horse gets distracted, the whole chariot goes in the direction. Okay, soul gets bewildered ultimately. So that's exactly how it works. Okay, so it's almost an hour, I think. We only covered 2 slokas, but they are very important slokas. I think we should stop here. This is a very good lesson today. I request you to actually implement this. And next week, we'll probably have a quiz. Okay. And also, by the way, I have requested my mentor, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, to give us a class. So at some point in time, we will have a class by him. He's a amazing teacher, amazing teacher. If you hear him,
Yes, it's very, very amazing. Beautiful.
beautiful classes he gives. If you have friends also, you can invite them. But I will let you know. It may not happen soon because he's such a busy person. I was talking to him last week. We are scheduling some classes for North America overall. If we have like 100 students like that, it will be a good use of his time.
Prabhu, you should give us a little brief about Radhesham Prabhu so that everybody knows who is he.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He is a monk from ISKCON Pune. Very, very well versed in all the scriptures, and is an amazing guide, mentor, and very loving, caring personality. Just like a mom, I treat him like my own mom or dad. Very loving, caring. I haven't seen such a person in my life, actually. Very advanced spiritually also, very advanced. I will share some lectures. The best way to show who he is share some lectures of him.
Yes.
That way you can hear that, and at your own time, free time, you get an understanding of you get a better understanding of this wisdom, much better than what you learn from here, right? Definitely.
Yeah.
So
And he did his IIT Prabhu, right? So,
yeah, he studied from IIT Mumbai.
right.
He's a gold medalist. He's a topper, actually.
Yes.
But he wanted to dedicate his life for the betterment of the world. He took to spiritual life very seriously, and he became a monk, lifelong brahmachari. So his goal is to help everyone to take to spirituality and God consciousness. Now, now he actually mentors thousands of people across India. In all IITs, he has students. Every single IIT has dozens and dozens of students. All NITs, he has students. All prominent universities, he has students. Um, so he has a network of um, at least 100 teachers under him who all go around, especially India. Now they started in MIT here, MIT, Stanford. They have some students who are taking to our Bhagavad Gita lessons seriously. Now he's he started doing Western outreach, spiritual outreach. He's focusing on Western since last few months, actually. He So we are discussing regularly. Every month we have a call. We discuss on how we can outreach. And so the whole idea is share with more. It's not like this is such a great wisdom, and by sharing he feels more satisfaction, more he receives higher realizations in life. So his goal is to help as many as people, before he leaves this body. He wants to reach as many as people and help everyone and re-spiritualize this world. Yeah, so that's how he's. There are people like that, very rarely we meet such people. Great, very advanced souls. If you hear him, you will see, just by hearing him, you will know he's not from this world. That's how I felt, at least. What do you say, Nitin Prabhu? You heard him, right? He was here.
Yes, yes. He's very humble, very in a very simple language. He conveys them a very complex message, and he explains a lot of complex philosophy very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Not
himself
practical.
has learned over and over Srimad Bhagavatam. Many times he went as a student to multiple classes, and he took a notes seriously as a student. He studied full time, even though he has known everything. He restudied just to make sure he
Yeah.
learns from everything. So he acts as a student. That's how he learns so much.
He's so humble,
Yes. So
By the way, he just eats every day. He eats only khichdi, little bit, this much khichdi. I really wonder at his simplicity. And he does not. He always sleeps on floor. No matter, not even a mat, simple floor. Even when he is in America, he just wants to sleep on the floor. And he just has two dresses, both are saffron, and he washes his dress, uses the next day. Uh, you know, look, his life is amazing. And he loves and cares everyone. If he meets a person, he remembers him for life. His memory is so sharp, extreme. You won't imagine. You know, I introduced some people like few years back. I even forgot. He would ask me, "How is that person?" And he meets thousands of people. He cares the welfare of everyone. That is a rare, such a rare thing in this world, isn't it? Who really cares? Anybody, right? People are so self-centered. They have no time to think about others. But here is a person who cares like a mother, just like how our mother cares for us. She wants our the best, isn't it? Every moment he thinks about us. So he does that to the world at large. That's such a big hurt. And that comes. And how does he get, right? It's not anything magical there. It is just through sincere practice of, Hare Krishna mantra, studying scriptures. These are the ones that bring those qualities in a person. Okay? So we'll end here. It's 6:20. So
Prabhu, your quiz is topic. Which topic quiz will be on?
what do you suggest? Let's do chapter 1. First, it's easier, right? If we go introduction, it's little. How many verses do we do? Anybody suggest, please? How many verses? You just read translations and purport. Shall we do first 10 verses?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Even 20 would do also, but yeah, we can start.
Sorry, what did you say, Prabhu?
I mean, half the chapter also we can do it because first chapter is pretty simple. Less philosophy.
For you, everything is simple.
less philosophy. I mean,
yeah, I know. But let's go slowly. We have a lot of time. So
sure.
do 10 slokas. Okay, everybody? And
Yeah.
I will send Damodarastakam and I hope you all liked. Anybody, have any comments on what you heard in the first part of the class? Damodarastakam, you liked it?
Yeah, it was beautiful, Prabhuji. During this whole month, like, do we have to listen it in the morning and light the diya, or evening also is fine?
Evening is also fine, perfectly. Anytime you have free time, before sleep, do it.
Prabhu, if possible for you, maybe you should take her next half class explaining the Damodar Ashtakam translation and some pastimes around it. That would be
Yes, we can.
more sweet and more meaningful.
Yes. Actually, I was, we are planning something by kids. Vinith Prabhu was planning. That's why I'm restraining to speak about that more. Maybe one day they will come and do it. Otherwise, we'll do it next week itself. Okay, I'll check with him.
That sets the mood actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, yeah, if you are out of state from Washington, you can send me your mail address in the group or personally. We'll send you the gift copy of Damodar, gift box. It's just a loving gift from the temple. Okay, there is no expectation from any of you. Okay, so share with me, and we'll send it to you. Okay.
And Prabhu, there are programs, but people can attend with the appointments, right? So we can mention that.
Yeah.
They-
So
them-
if you are in Seattle area, you can visit the temple. Especially in this Kartik. And tomorrow we have Gopuja, right, Prabhu?
was it on the? Was
Yeah,
it tomorrow? Yeah, it's a farm, right?
yeah,
12 to 2 o'clock. Yes, in Redmond Farm.
if you are in Seattle and if you have time available time, you can visit our Redmond farm. We can send you the details. So temple keeps doing certain spiritual activities. So tomorrow's activity is Go Puja. We have a lot of cows, Indian Gir cows. Imagine we have Gir cows in the West. We raise them like so well. Everybody has a name. They very happily live in our farms, and they are protected for life. They're never left alone just after stopping giving milk. So we raise them. We actually get the milk also. My daughter only drinks our cow's milk. She cannot even taste outside milk because it's so tasty. Milk, because these cows are so nicely protected, and nice grass is given. The taste of milk changes immediately. Um, yeah, so that's our experience. But anyway, tomorrow we have Gopuja. If you have time, you can visit. And also every morning there is Damodar Ashtakam in the temple. Everybody comes together, sings together. But these are COVID times. I don't encourage. But if you have a desire to come and visit the temple, um, temple also has limited time that you can stay there. You can register. I think you need to register, right, Prabhu? With Nitin Prabhu in the mornings.
Yeah. I think morning Mangala Aarati may not be required, but they still have to register using an app
Yeah.
because it's a requirement by the government.
Can you send that registration detail, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
WhatsApp group. And
Yes.
then, if you have time, you can visit. Otherwise, no worries. You can do at your home. And the procedure is simple. Basically, have this picture of. Oh, sorry, I don't have.
Damodar Ashtak picture. Damodar picture.
There is a picture where Mother Yashoda tries to bind Krishna to a mortar. That is the story behind the pastime. I will share the story behind it and the lyrics as well as the song that we all heard together. Okay, so you learn about it, and at your free time you can start. It only takes 5 minutes to read it every morning, but it has spiritual benefit, a lot of immense spiritual benefit. So don't miss this opportunity. This 1 month, very auspicious. So I recommend you to do this to make swift spiritual progress.
So, Prabhu, one question. So, for you are talking about the Goloka farm, right? That's in Redmond.
Yes.
Do we need to do registration for that also if we need to go there?
Yes. Because that is only by invitation.
Oh, okay.
Not invitation, actually registration.
Registration.
So
Okay.
that they know how many are coming and what time they're coming. That's all. Actually, even if you go anytime, It's always open. Nobody actually objects. There are cows, you can go see them.
Oh, okay.
There is
Okay.
a nice farm. Of course, in the summer we grew all kinds of vegetables there. Right
Yeah.
now it is not summer. We actually bring all the vegetables to the temple and distribute to everyone. You know,
Yeah, even the milk, right?
even
Milk and vegetable comes. Yeah, yeah.
every day it comes. We actually buy every for my daughter. She's 2 years. Yeah, so we can. Okay then.
Okay.
So we'll end the class here. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for your sincerity. If anybody is serious and interested, we are still open. We are still in the beginning stages. Bring them all, and more the merrier, right? So we learn together. Okay. I'll end the class here. Thank you all.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all.